Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Morning Coffee with Mike. Today, we are talking about should you accept failure when it comes to trading? Should you accept failure when it comes to trading? Type into the chat. Let me know what your thoughts are. Should you accept failure when it comes to trading? Why are we even talking about this? The reason why is because it's become a bit of a buzzword in trading circles that we should accept failure. And I wanted to talk a bit about it because I think that if we don't have the right attitude, if we don't approach trading, especially something like accepting failure with the right attitude, then it can be problematic. So well, let's see. There's already some comments saying that failure is part of the process. Uh, Depending on how we view failure, it certainly can be. So I think that what we need to do is to first define, what is failure? What do you think failure is? Type into the chat what you think failure is, especially when it comes to trading, right? We can think about failure about all different kinds of things, but specifically about trading, what comes to mind when you think of failure? Is failure a losing trade? Is failure a series of losing trades, or failure is just things that are not going the way that you might expect? Is failure at the end of the year when you see a drawdown? Is failure not hitting your particular goal, right? Like let's say your objective, let's say that your goal is to generate a 100% return this year and you don't hit it. Let's say that you get a 50% return. Did you fail? I think that defining what failure is an important part of what we should accept or not. I think that definitions are a very important part of how we can define what's acceptable versus what's not acceptable. Because if we are cavalier in our attitude about if we should even accept failure when it comes to trading, then we might just throw anything, or we might just accept anything. I think that one of the attitudes that might be not beneficial when it comes to trading, there's a couple of attitudes that might not be, that might lead us astray. I've had both of these attitudes at various points. The attitude that, yeah, failure is part of trading, so la di da, I'm just going to place my trade, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And well, that might take some of the stress of trading off, but it's not the type of attitude that's going to help us to continuously improve. So if our objective is to continuously improve, then we need to adopt an attitude that will help us continuously improve. On the other side, if our attitude towards failure is that completely unacceptable, I will not fail, I will not quit. A lot of people associate failure with quitting. And so I will not fail, I will not quit. I'm going to go full steam ahead. I've had this attitude as well. If we refuse to fail, but we have the wrong strategy, then that's something that can also lead us astray, because that's something that can force us to keep on digging in our heels and not course correct. What we want, what I think that most of us want, and type into the chat if you agree with this or disagree with it. I'm going to scroll through the comments in a moment over here on Instagram. And yes, you guys over here on YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook, I'd like for you to type in your comments and questions as well. I see you guys over here watching. I just saw somebody else hop in too. So you guys type into the chat. Let us know your thoughts on this. But when it comes to trading, and it comes to our attitudes about failure, I find it to be helpful to first look at, well, what are Well, what's my bigger objective? Well, what is it that I want to accomplish? If I'm thinking about my objectives and where I want to go, then our attitude towards failure almost falls in line with what's going to lead us to the outcome. It's not about whether we should accept failure or not accept failure. It's more about the end result that we're after. So, for example, if my if I have an attitude or if I have an objective that says that I want to continuously improve my trading, I want to get better, I want to improve my results, I want to become world class. Say I just want to trade for a living, or I want to. Well, you type into the chat. Let me know what some of your objectives are. I'm curious to hear. But let's say that you have some of the objectives that I've already said. What would you need to do to get to those objectives? Well, some of them would be that you would need to understand that you will have losses in trading. I personally do not define a loss, a, a losing trade as a failure. I see that as a business expense. So if I'm going to enter a game, and I also look at trading as a game. So if I'm going to enter into a game of probabilities, there is no 100%. There's Well, depending on your system, maybe you're trading a system that gets an 80% win rate. Maybe you have a system that gets a 90% win rate. Maybe your system gets a 40% win rate. What matters is that after many, many, many trades, that you end up with more money in your pocket than when you started. And you can meet those objectives whether you have an 80% win rate or a 40% win rate. It's more a matter of the system and what the system is able to produce. There's many traders, some of the best champions, some of the people that I shared a panel with during the Trading Mind Wheel virtual conference just a couple of weeks ago that have win rates both in the 30 percentile and win rates in the 80 to 90 percentile. Both sides make money. Who are some of those people? Uh, Austin Silver has published his win rate. I believe the last time that he said it, it was somewhere around 80 to 90%. He's looking for one-to-one reward to risk trades. Mark Minervini, who was on the show, he has closer to a 45, 50% win rate. His average win is about 2-to-1, sometimes 3-to-1. So both can make money. It's a matter of figuring out, well, which do you fall into? And if we're defining failure as every time I have a losing trade, that's a failure. No, that's just a part of doing business. Or that's a perspective that you might have, that you might adopt. When I adopted that mindset that this is a part of doing business, then things started to shift. But it's not just saying that, oh, losses are a part of doing business. The objective is we want to do business well. So if I'm doing business well and I'm entering into a game of probabilities and I understand that some will be wins, some will be losses, am I taking high quality trades? That's a great question. That's a great question that I would recommend that everybody that's watching that we should all be asking this of ourselves. Are we taking high quality trades? Well, how do we define a high quality trade? How do you define a high quality trade? Type into the chat. Let us know how you define high quality trades. And then, yes, I will go through the comments here. How we define a high quality trade becomes very important because if we're just taking random trades and we also have an attitude that says that, oh, well, we should accept failure because it's part of the game. Well, how do you think that person's going to do versus the person that says that I understand that I will have losses. My objective is that I want to continuously improve. My objective is that I want to be one of the best at this. And not only that, I'm going to cultivate some of the skills that not just some of the skills, but all the skills that are required for trading mastery. How's that person going to deal with failure or deal with losses? Well, they'll have a way to define what a high quality trade is. They'll also have a way to go back and review their process to see, well, I had wins and I had losses. What are some of the commonalities among these things? What can I do to reduce these losses? What can I do to increase the wins? How can I cut my losses even shorter? Like what Nikhil had just said. He says that he cuts losses with discipline and can't hold profit the way, but has trouble holding profits with discipline. We'll get into that part in a moment. But yes, cutting losses is something that's very important. If you're going to be have a system, if you're going to trade and you want to continuously improve, well, cutting losses is going to be a very big part of that. And to wrap things up as far as attitude and should failure be tolerated in trading, I believe that it comes down to our attitude towards failure. I believe that it comes down to how we define failure, and more importantly, it has everything to do with how our attitudes towards our objectives. Do we have clearly defined objectives? Are we putting ourselves in a position to not just win on one trade or series of trades, but to put ourselves into a position where we're going to be winning over the longer term? So let's go through some of the comments and questions that came in. First one that I saw was from Nikhil about cutting losses with discipline, but can't hold profit with discipline. That's interesting. And one of the reasons why it's interesting is because, like many of the things that you're going to post into the chat, these are things that I've personally experienced too. I had trouble holding profits as well. So I would religiously cut losses, cut losses, cut losses, but then I would let trades go into the profit and keep on going and keep on going and eventually come right back down, and I would give up most of my profits. How do we deal with this problem? Why does it result? Part of the reason why we or may cut losses quickly and have trouble with profits is one, because we have a strict rule about cutting losses. Right? If we say that we're going to cut losses with a predetermined stop loss, if it's going to be based on some sort of a percentage, based on some kind of price action, it's typically a hard rule, very black and white. So it's easy to follow. When it comes to taking profits, it can sometimes be less black and white. And that's often the reason why so many people struggle with taking profits. So, what can you do to become better at taking profits? One of the things that helped me a lot was starting to figure out, well, where should I take profits automatically? And then placing those orders in the moment that I place my trade, I'll set up three things. First, I'll set up where am I going to cut this loss. Then I'll also set up, of course, well, where my entry is. That's a kind of a given. But also, where am I going to take my first scale out, and where am I going to take my second scale out? So I've already got two profit targets already baked in and orders placed for those trades. Now, how do I come up with that? The way that I came up with where I'm going to take it has to do with how my trades typically perform. So, where's my average gain? How much did I risk on this trade? And I track all these things. So, journaling is one of the most important things that we could do when it comes to trading mastery and long term trading success. All the things that we've spoken about here, by the way, are in my book, The Trading Mind Wheel. It's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, everywhere books are sold. Go get The Trading Mind Wheel. You can see that I'm going through the book myself and making additional notes. That's why I have all these tabs here. I destroy books when when I have them. Uh, let's see. So that's my thoughts on holding with a profit and uh, learning how to sell into strength. Very, very important skill. And someone else asked about backtesting. How could you learn about backtesting? One of the ways to backtest, my actual preferred method of backtesting is a manual backtest, right? The backtesting is one of those things where you almost don't see a whole lot written about it, and if you do, it generally has to do with coding and software and things like that. I find it beneficial to do backtesting in this kind of order, and it's also a chapter in my book, The Trading Mind Wheel. Step one, factor model. What's factor modeling? Factor modeling is figuring out what works or finding what works and then dissecting what makes that thing work. So there are a thousand different ways to trade and to make money. So many different systems out there. None of us need to start from scratch. We just need to find something that's out there that already exists, that works, that we like, and start to adopt that system. Learn how it works, learn why it works, learn how the person does the research, the execution, all those different things. There's loads out there. Might say, well, how do you find some of these systems? There's a lot of bullshit out there too. Yes, there is a lot of bullshit out there. So step one, well, what I would say is if you are following people on Instagram, they are at least following me, you're probably following a lot more people too, or YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or any of these spots. Take a look at the free content that they're putting out first before you dive into anybody's books or courses or before you spend a dime. See what it is that they're putting out for free. Maybe they've got their feed, their social feeds. Maybe they have a blog. Maybe they've got a free thing that you could download. Go check out those things first and see what kind of value they're providing up front before you go and learn from anybody. That's step one. Step two, if you find somebody that you do enjoy their free content and want to learn more, then understand that you probably will need to pay something. Now, if you do pay something, and one of the things that held me back for so long from being willing to pay for information was just that, oh, somebody's trying to rip me off. Well, one of the things is that there will be people that you don't like, that you buy their thing and you don't like. So understand that that's part of the process. Once I finally started to say, you know what, like I need to educate myself, and that's my objective is getting the education and having that progress. Yes, there are education fees, there are tuition fees that come along with that. And the amount of money that I've paid for courses and seminars and coaching and all that kind of stuff along my trading journey pales in comparison to what I paid for my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and all this other stuff has been far more valuable than what I paid for the bachelor's degree and the master's degree. And uh, the tuition fees, of course, are far, far less. So, what's the worst that can happen? If you pay $100 a month for a subscription and you don't like it, you cancel. That's basically it. So, um, keep it simple. Just like with what Nikhil was saying earlier, right? Cutting losses. If you sign up for somebody's course or somebody's service and you don't like it, you cancel. And if you see that somebody is promising you the moon and the fees are exorbitant, then maybe you go somewhere else. Hold on one second over here. Just getting Instagram to turn back on. Okay, so let's see what other questions have come in. Just scrolling here through Instagram. Okay, the thing is learn from failure, use 100 mindset. Yeah, so the mindset too. So it's we want to we want to understand what our beliefs are. When we understand what our beliefs are, we could start to see if they are serving us or how they're serving us and towards what end they're leading us to. And then we could say, are we happy with what it's leading us to or not? So we want to be objective in how we look at mindset and how we look at any kind of belief, and the way that we can start to become objective in what it is that we believe or what somebody else might believe, right? Well, we were talking about getting help and getting courses and books and all those kinds of things. With all of it, we want to look at it objectively, because if we're going to buy somebody's course or anything, we're basically buying somebody else's set of beliefs. What kinds of results did those set of beliefs get for that person? And am I able to adopt it? Same thing goes for any kind of beliefs or mindset. We want to see what these beliefs are leading us to. What are they keeping us from? Do we want to accept these beliefs? Do we not want to accept these beliefs? That's that's the bottom line. Just going to scroll down to the bottom of Instagram over here. If you have another question, you're on Instagram, type it into the chat now. Uh, Otherwise, we're close to the end here. We might be calling it a wrap. Let's see. Are there any other questions down here? What do I think about Fibonacci? I use Fibonacci. I use Fibonacci retracements and extensions. I use Fibonacci retracements as a level of confluence. It's not something that I would look at as a primary thing. So when I'm looking at to enter any trade, I look at price structure first. I'm looking at support and resistance, and then I'll see what other things line up with those levels that I'm looking at. One of the things that I'll consider is Fibonacci. So Fibonacci extension retracements, and if it happens to be there, then it's one extra layer of confluence. If it's not there, then it's not going to make or break the trade for me. Any other questions? Best trading setup? Best trading setup is going to depend on your system. The best setup for me is the volatility contraction pattern. Uh, if you want to learn more about volatility contraction patterns, learn it from the best. Mark Minervini is the guy that came up with it. You could get either one of his books. He has uh, three that are specific to trading, and then another one that is on mindset. All of them are on Amazon. Uh, look up Mark Minervini. When did I start trading? I started trading 25 years ago, just about. Well, uh, when I was 19, was when I first walked into that bank. So if you read the book, you'll hear all about the first story of the bank, and me going in and placing the first trade, or what I thought was the first trade. So no, that don't mean 24 years ago. I'm 43 now, so 19, yeah, that's 24 years ago. Anything else? Renab says that the market is very unpredictable. What should we do? The market is very unpredictable, uh, but what we should do, or what we can do, is come up with a system that allows us to have an edge. And there's plenty of systems that are out there that can give you an edge. What you want to do is find the ones that resonate with you, and then after you find what resonates with you, go learn, study it, and then figure out how you can customize it for yourself. Expect this process to take multiple years. And if you are interested in continuing along that path, then more power to you. But going in with the correct attitude that this is something that is a lifelong journey, that it's going to take me several years to just to learn and then more time to master. And if you have that attitude going in, you stand a fighting chance. All right, and looks like that's the last question, so I'll end it here. I want to say thank you all so much for joining me today. It's been a real pleasure. If you'd like to learn more, if you'd like to get some more of the free information, I posted actually over here on YouTube and everywhere. I changed the moniker right below my name to my main website, marawealth.com, and I'll post it in here for you guys on Instagram, marawealth.com. There's a lot of free information on that website, a lot of free downloads, a lot of free tools. So go there, check it out, and uh, let me know what questions you guys have. And I'll see you tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care. Much love. Peace out, everybody.